Hello, feral friends and fellow nature nerds. Thanks for tuning in to Dirt Dispatch number 24. I'm your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara. There's only one thing I want to tell you about today. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, and the universe gives you a gift. The other night, I was privileged to see something that was both unusual for several reasons, and given the conditions in which I witnessed it, had sort of an ethereal beauty to it as well. So first, let me set the stage. Dispatch's HQ is currently located on F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming. We live in one of the many historic brick homes on the base. Now, the bricks, as they're known here, are arranged more or less in a single long undulating line. In front, across the street from the bricks, is mostly a lot of open space. In back, there's an alley that separates the houses from the associated garages. Behind the garages is, for the most part, more open space, including a disc golf course and what used to be an actual golf course, but this was shut down several years ago and left to rewild. So my daughter and I were coming home the other night about 8 o'clock, so it was dark, but it was also foggy. Now, I don't know about you, but I love a foggy night. There's something about it, a feeling that it gives you, like you've stepped into a parallel universe where things are familiar, but somehow just a little bit different in a way that you can't quite place. We were turning into the alley when from our right, out of the fog and darkness between two of the houses, came a herd of pronghorn, maybe a dozen or so, and they were running full tilt. Now, seeing pronghorn around here is not unusual. They're as commonplace around here as squirrels or Canada geese or crows or sparrows. They frequently bed down in the grass across the street from the house, and my yard contains prodigious piles, a plethora of pronghorn poop pellets. Sorry, I love a good alliteration. Just yesterday when I went to start my truck in the morning, there were pronghorn grazing in the side yard under the bird feeder and next to the garage. But a couple of things made this an unusual sight. First of all, pronghorn are not really nocturnal. They can be active at night, but they're primarily active from dawn until dusk and rest at night. Secondly, spending so much time around housing, the base pronghorn are pretty desensitized to most things. They saunter leisurely across roads and streets and are rarely inspired to do more than just a brisk jog. When approached by a person on foot, even someone walking their dog or a guy on a bike, they tend to make a short sprint perpendicular to the source of their irritation and only go as far as they need to ensure they're not being followed before they return to their pronghorny business. Point is, to see them running all out at night was strange. Now, I was still processing what we had just seen. About 2 seconds passed, just enough time for me to think, whoa, when the source of their headlong sprint materialized in front of us. My first thought was, dog? But before that thought was even finished, it vanished into the fog-shrouded darkness in hot pursuit, and I immediately realized that it was no dog, but a coyote. Had the fog been much thicker, I don't know that I even would have seen it. Its tan coat blended so well with the fog, and it appeared and disappeared so quickly in the dark. Now, like pronghorn, it's not unusual to see coyotes here on base. I see them with a fair amount of regularity. There's at least one family that I know of, maybe more given the vast amount of suitable habitat both on the base and around the base. But again, this was an unusual sight for a couple of reasons. First of all, pronghorn are significantly larger than a coyote's typical prey. Typical prey for a coyote is 25 pounds or less. Adult pronghorn weigh at least 4 times that, outweighing the coyote by more than double. Second, a healthy adult pronghorn, which all of these appeared to be, can easily outrun a coyote. Pronghorn are the fastest land animal in the Western Hemisphere, second fastest in the world, able to hit speeds of close to 60 miles an hour. Top speed for a coyote is closer to 40, and the pronghorn can maintain that top speed much longer. The chances of that coyote catching any of those pronghorn were mighty slim. But I gotta give him credit. Slim chance or not, bro was going for it and giving it his all. Now, maybe he was desperately hungry, driven to take a chance that he normally wouldn't take. It's hard to tell for sure given that I only saw him for a split second in darkness and fog, but my impression was that he was in good condition. Maybe, with the fog and all, he was able to sneak closer to the herd than he would normally been able to do, and he was feeling lucky and thought he'd give it a shot. Whatever the reason, you never know if you don't try. Now, I'm sure that somewhere out there is someone that would try to assert that this pursuing coyote was driving these pronghorn into an ambush by the rest of the pack. Probably not anyone listening to this podcast, but still. But that's not how coyotes hunt. And besides, coyotes may be smart, but predicting with any degree of accuracy which direction and route a herd of pronghorn are going to sprint at 60 miles an hour would be next to impossible, let alone jumping out to try and stop them. Now, the whole incident, from the appearance of the first pronghorn to the tip of the coyote's tail vanishing into the foggy darkness, took maybe 5 seconds, if I'm being generous. The darkness, the fog, and the fact that we were in the car with the windows up, so the whole brief scene played out in silence, conspired to give it an almost dreamlike quality. But I have to say, that was definitely 5 of the most amazing seconds of my week, and I'm thankful to have experienced it. So, Fero friends, here's hoping that you find yourself in the right place at the right time, and the universe gives you a gift. And hey, here's a thought. If you've had an amazing encounter or experience like this, shoot me an email at dispatchesfromtheforest@gmail.com. Maybe in a future Dispatch episode, I can share some of your experiences. Other ways you can support the podcast and, hey, maybe get some good karma in the process, you could become a patron. Go to patreon.com/dispatchesfromtheforest to get all the information. You could make a one-time donation via PayPal using that email address, dispatchesfromtheforest@gmail.com, or using the Cash App and the hashtag ForestNerd. You could get some Dispatches from the Forest merch by heading over to the merch store at cafepress.com/shop/dispatchesfromtheforest. Then just click on products to see what we've got to offer. Finally, you can follow Dispatches from the Forest on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara, reminding you to go outside and get dirty. Dirt Dispatches is a production of Dispatches from the Forest and may not be used or rebroadcast whole or in part without express written permission.